Up to now, what you learned how to create database, how to connect to SQL Server, plus you learned how to create a database. Okay, you know this too, connecting to SQL Server, creating the database in last class. Okay, fine. Now, next, after you connect to the SQL Server, next, what do you want to do? See, after you connect to SQL Server, next you want to perform what operations. Why you connected to SQL Server? Because you want to work with the database. But to work with the database, you need to like you want to work with the database means you want to store some data, update some data, delete some data, like that. So if you want to do any operations on database, so first you need to talk to the SQL Server. Okay, you need to talk to the SQL Server. But to talk to SQL Server, you need a language called SQL language. To talk to SQL Server, so we use a language called SQL. What is that language here called? Transact SQL. Transact SQL means SQL only, but they given the name as Transact SQL. Okay, then. So what this is? It is language. Okay, then. So what this is? A language used to. So TSQL is the language used to communicate with what? SQL Server. The language used to communicate with SQL Server. Okay, then. So understood now? The language used to communicate with SQL Server. But how you communicate? The user communicates with SQL Server by sending what? By sending commands. Commands called queries. Okay, then user communicates with SQL Server by sending commands. That commands are called queries. Okay, that commands are called queries. So what you send to SQL Server is called queries. What you send to SQL Server? What you send to SQL Server? You send commands. What for that command? Storing the data, updating the data, deleting the data. You send commands to SQL Server. Whatever the commands you send to SQL Server, that commands are called queries. Okay, that commands are called queries. What is query means? A query is a command, or query is a what? Instruction submitted to SQL Server to perform some operation over database. A query is a command or instruction submitted to SQL Server to perform some operation over database. Why you submit the queries? You submit the queries to perform operations, like what are operations like storing, updating, deleting, displaying, like that. Okay, then. Understood, guys? Then. So that means it is not a programming language. So like here we also write programs. Okay, na? Then. So initially we write what? Queries. Initially we write queries. So a query is a command or instruction submitted to SQL Server to perform operation over database. Then. So actually SQL is originally introduced by then originally introduced by IBM. Okay, actually introduced by IBM, and initial name of this language was SQL. Initial name was SQL, and later it is renamed to SQL. But even though it's renamed to SQL, but still it should be pronounced as SQL. It's actually introduced by IBM, and initial name was SQL. Initial name was SQL. Later it is renamed to SQL. But even though it's renamed to SQL, but still it should be pronounced as SQL only. Okay, na? Originally introduced by IBM. Initial name was SQL. Later it is renamed to SQL. Okay, but you have to call it as SQL only. So SQL is not the correct pronunciation. SQL is wrong pronunciation. Okay, then. Okay, and and based on operations over database, SQL is categorized into following sublanguages. Okay, based on operations, this language is categorized into some sublanguages. Based on your operations, SQL language is categorized into sublanguages. What are the sublanguages of SQL? What are the sublanguages of SQL? One is DDL, DML, DRL, TCL, DCL. Okay, DDL, next one, DML, next one, DRL or DQL, next one, TCL, next one, DCL. So all these are the sublanguages of SQL. SQL is divided into 5 sublanguages: DDL, DML, DRL, TCL, DCL. Okay, what is DDL stands for? DDL stands for data definition language. What is DML stands for? Data manipulation language. What is DRL stands for? Data retrieval language. So TCL stands for transaction control language. Okay, DCL stands for data control language. So this is sublanguages of SQL. Okay, that. So these are all sublanguages of SQL. So based on operations on database, SQL is categorized into following sublanguages: DDL, DML, DRL, TCL, DCL. Okay, that. And here actually that. So when it comes to SQL, here you write what queries. Okay, na? In SQL, you write what queries? You write queries. You write commands. And the commands are categorized into these 5 categories. Here you write command, that commands are categorized into 5 categories. One is DDL, another one DML, another one DQL, another one TCL, another one DCL. So DDL, DML, DQL, TCL, DCL. So this SQL is categorized into 5 sublanguages. What is the sublanguages? One is what? Create, another one alter, another one drop, another one truncate, another one, okay, alter, create, alter, drop, truncate. So these are the commands comes under what? DDL commands: create, alter, drop, truncate. Next one, what commands comes under DML? One is insert, one is update, one is delete, one is match. So these commands comes under DML, data manipulation. So DQL, DQL, what commands comes under DQL? Okay, select command. TCL commands, next one, commit, rollback, and save transaction. So these commands comes under TCL. So what commands comes under DCL? There are 2 commands. One command is grant, one command is revoke. So these are the sublanguages of SQL, and commands comes under each sublanguage. Commands comes under each sublanguage. Okay, so then sublanguages and the commands. Total, how many commands are there? 8 plus what? Okay, then 14 total. How many commands are there? 14 commands are there. Okay, na? And 14 commands are there. Okay, then so if anyone asks you, tell me SQL commands means, just give this list. If anyone asks you, tell me SQL commands means, give this list. Okay, then tell me SQL commands means, give this list. But here, see, and one more thing. So, and this language is, okay, this language is common to all databases. Okay, and one more thing. So this SQL is common to all relational databases. SQL is common to all relational databases. Means, like for example, if you take Oracle, SQL Server, we use this SQL language. But in Oracle also, we use SQL language. So in MySQL, like you take MySQL. In MySQL also, they use SQL language. In PostgreSQL also they use SQL language. So this SQL is common for all databases. Okay, na? Language is common. It's common for all databases. So when language is same, working is also same. What the advantage is? Okay, then. So advantage when ranking, here when database is same. Okay, na? When like language is same, working is also same. Once you got some experience with SQL Server, okay, you can work with Oracle database also. You can work with MySQL. You can work with PostgreSQL. Once you got some experience with SQL Server database, you can work with other databases also. Easily can work with other databases. Okay, because the language is same. If language is different, then you have to learn. Okay, na? But your language is same. So developers can easily migrate from one database to another database. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Development is same. If you know SQL Server development, you can do Oracle development. You can be part of MySQL development. You can be part of PostgreSQL database development. So once you know one database, you can work with other databases also. Okay, that. So next, and here, see, but any changes are minor changes will be there. One database to another database, maybe some extra commands will be there. Some databases so may not be support that commands. Some databases support some commands. Some differences will be there, but differences are minor, not major differences. Okay, na? Then understood? No. Almost all the databases contain the same commands. Almost all, every database you take, almost all databases contain same commands. Okay, then. So that's all. This is what language, sub-languages, and the commands comes under each sub-language. But before going to discuss this, like we'll discuss one by one, but okay, just I'm giving overall idea at present. Now we'll see one by one. Every command we'll see with syntax examples like that. But just before going to that, I'll give some idea. What is create, what is alter like this. So actually, before going to this, okay, so suppose here, see, suppose I'll say 1A5000. Okay, one must know what is data and data definition. Okay, you should have the you should know the difference between data definition. So before going to this, one must know what is data definition. Okay, then this is important for not only like for every SQL Server, any developer, Oracle developer. So the most important is this is important, data and data definition. So what is data? What is data definition? Suppose I'll say, for example, so 1A5000. I'll say 1A5000. If I say 1A5000, then what is this is? If I say 1A5000, what is this? I'll ask what is this 1A5000? What is your answer? So 1A5000 is what? This is what? Data. Okay, now 1A5000 is data. So this is data. Okay, now say this is data. Yes or no? Okay, but I'll ask what is this one represents? What this one represents? What is this A? What is this 5000? Can you answer? Okay, you said this is data, but I'll ask what is one represents? Huh? What is A? What is 5000? So can you answer? No, because it's not defined. This data is not defined. When it is not defined, so you cannot answer what is this one. One can be employee ID, A can be employee name, 5000 can be employee salary, or one can be product ID, A can be product name, 5000 can be product cost. One can be student ID, A can be student name, 5000 can be fee paid by the student. Okay, na? So what is this is what data. Okay, na? There. So but this data is not defined. When the data is not defined, this is what? Useless. This data is not defined. When the data is not defined, this is useless and it's not useful. Okay, it's not useful. Okay, then. So, but I need to define this. So I'm defining this. Like for example, EMPID, e-name, salary. I'm defining like this. So what is this is called? What is this is called? This is called data definition, or you can say metadata. Okay, what is this is called? This is called data definition, or you can say metadata. So this EMPID, e-name, salary is defining what is one. EMPID is defining what is one. E-name is defining what is A. Sal is defining what is 5000. If I ask what is 5000 means, immediately you can answer salary. If I ask what is one means, you say employee ID. What is A means employee name. What is 5000 means salary. So what is this is called? This is called data definition. Okay, or you can say metadata. Okay, na? Then see there are two commands here. One command is DDL, one command is DML. And DDL commands acts on data definition. DML commands acts on data. Listen, DDL commands acts on definition. DML commands acts on data. There are two commands. One acts on definition, one acts on data. I want to create this definition. So if you want to create the definition, create command. Okay. I want to change this definition. If you want to change the definition, then alter. I want to remove the definition. To remove the definition, drop. Okay. I want to create this because I want to store the data. If you want to store the data, first you need to create this. Okay, na? Then. So I want to create the data. So sorry, I want to create this definition. To create the definition, create command. I want to modify the definition, alter command. I want to remove this definition, drop command. I want to insert some new data. If you want to insert the data, we use insert command. I want to modify this salary 5000 to 8000. Then what we use update. I want to delete the data. To delete the data, delete command. Okay. I want to insert the data, insert command. I want to modify this data, update command. I want to delete this data, delete command. Okay. Then. Guys, understood? No. We'll see. Everything will cover. What is truncate, what is merge also will cover everything. Yes, I'm giving what is what, overall idea. Okay, then. Next, I want to see the data. I want to see this data. If you want to see the data, then we have to use select. If you want to view, you want to see the data, then select command. Understood, boss? Okay. Next. So suppose, for example, okay, then. So you store some data. When you store some data, the data will not directly go to database. If you store some data, user is what? Like user is inserting some data. User is inserting some data. But this data, so when users insert some data, So this data will not directly go to database. Initially, where it is stored in RAM, temporary storage. See, listen this, user inserting the data. When user insert the data will not be directly stored in database. Initially, where it is kept, it is stored in temporary storage. So the data stored in temporary storage. Okay, then. So it is stored in temporary storage. And then, but it is stored in RAM. RAM is temporary storage. So I want to make it permanent. Means I want to save this. If you want to save this, then execute commit. When you execute the commit, what happens is, so this data is copied to database. Once data is copied to database, this data is permanent, because where the database is there in hard disk. So this is permanent storage. Hard disk is permanent. So database is permanent storage. Your data is also permanent. Initially, it is stored in RAM. Once you execute commit, then what happens is the data is copied to database. Once data is copied to database, your data is what? Permanent. Understood, guys? Then next one. Suppose you update. Where it is updated in RAM. You commit it, then it's updated in what? Database. You delete, it's deleted from RAM. If you commit, it's also deleted from database. Okay, then. So commit is like what commit is? Commit is like control S. Commit is like control S. You know control S now? Control S is for saving. Yes. Commit is like control S. Okay. And next, suppose for example, like you, okay, for example, then. So accidentally you deleted. By mistake you deleted the data. Okay, na? By mistake you deleted the data. So you want to cancel that operation. If you want to cancel the operation, roll back. Okay, you want to save the operation, commit. If you want to cancel the operation, roll back. Roll back is for to cancel. Okay, then. So for saving, commit. For canceling, roll back. Rollback is like, commit is like control S. Rollback is like control Z. Like see that, edit. So file control S. Save. Commit is like control S. Rollback is like undo, control Z. So if you want to cancel the changes, roll back. If you want to save the changes, commit. Save transaction is also similar, but there is a small difference between rollback and save transaction. We'll see that. What save transaction is. Okay, na? That. And grant and revoke. So grant and revoke is, see, database is what I said, database is most secure. Only authorized people can access the database. So you can't access my database, I can't access your database. Okay, so to access, you need to have permissions. So you can't access my database, but if you want to access my database, I need to give the permissions. You can't access my database. If you want to access my database, I need to give the permissions. How to give the permissions? By using grant. So grant is for giving the permissions. Grant is for giving the permissions, and revoke is for to like once after giving the permissions, you can work with the database. Your work is completed. Once your work is completed, I'll take back the permissions. And how to take back the permissions? By using revoke. So grant is for giving the permission, and revoke is for to take back the permissions. Okay, na? Grant is for giving, revoke is for to take back the permissions. That's sir. Okay, na? Any doubts in this? We'll see. Practically, we'll see. Now, what we are discussing is theoretically we are discussing. Now we'll see everything practical. Okay. Yeah. So next one. Okay. So data types in SQL Server. Okay. Now let's see what are the data types in SQL Server. Okay, then what are the data types in SQL Server? Okay, then so data types in SQL Server. Like if you go to programming languages, in programming languages, what you declare integer x. In programming languages, what you declare integer x. Tell me what is int, what is x? What is int, what is x? No idea. What is int, what is x? So int is what? Data type. X is what? Variable. Okay, na? Int is what? Data type. X is what? Variable. So actually, in every programming language, we use variables. We use variables for storing the data temporarily. Okay, na? In programming languages, we use variables for storing the data temporarily. So, but when you want to store the data, then what it needs? Memory. Without memory, how it can store the data? It needs memory. But how much memory should be allocated? Whether you want to allocate, okay, na, 2 bytes or 10 bytes or 4 bytes or 20 bytes or 100 bytes or 1 GB now. How SQL Server knows? How the system knows? Depends on the data type you declare. Okay, na? So according to the data type you declare, it allocates memory. Okay, then so like a data type specifies two things, boss. In every language, a data type specifies. One is, okay, type of the data allowed, and second one, the amount of memory allocated. So the type of the data allowed and amount of how much memory should be allocated, what type of data is allowed, it depends on what data type you declare. So a data type specifies two things. One is type of the data allowed and amount of memory allocated. So according to SQL Server, the data types are categorized into different types. Okay, na? In SQL Server, the data types are categorized into different types. One is what? Character types. Another one, numeric types. Another one, okay, integer types. Let's say numeric means integer types. Next one, float types. Float types. Next one, currency types. Next one, date. Next one, binary types. So these are the different types in SQL Server. So the data types in SQL Server categorized into these categories: character, integer, float, currency, date, binary. So these are the different types. Okay. So character, like what? Character. So one is character. Sorry. Again, character types are again two types. Character types are divided into two types. But the two types, one is character types are categorized into two types. One is what? Okay. So one type is, the character types are two types. One type is what? ASCII. ASCII data types. Another one, Unicode. So there are two types. One is ASCII, another one Unicode. Okay, ASCII and Unicode. So what are the ASCII data types? One is char, another one varchar, another one varchar max. Char, varchar max. So Unicode, what is Unicode? Nchar, nvarchar, and varchar max. So this is Unicode. What are the Unicode types? Nchar, nvarchar, and varchar max. So these are the Unicode types. Okay, understood, guys? So character types are two types, boss. So one is ASCII, another one Unicode. Okay, then now next. So integer types. One is like what? One is tiny int, integer types. Another one, small int. Everything you'll get passed. So you have to wait. Just wait. Small int, integer, big integer. So these are the different integer types: small int, tiny int, small int, big int. Okay, then. So what are the float types? One is there decimal. So decimal p comma s. Next one, next one like currency types. There are two currency types. One is small money, another one money type. So one is date, one is time, one is date time. That date time. Next one, binary. What? Okay, one is binary, another one var binary, another one var binary max. Binary, var binary, var binary max. So these are the different types. That's all. So the different data types in SQL Server. We'll see one by one. So we'll see like when to use char, when to use varchar, when to use small integer, when to use tiny integer, when to use small money, when to use date time, when to use binary. We'll see one by one. Understood? Then so let's see first one. We'll see one by one. So first we'll start with character type. This one. Like we'll see what is ASCII also. We'll see. So first see this character, char size. Char size. Okay, na? Then what is this char data type? So this char data type allows what? Character data. Okay, up to 8,000 characters. The char data type allows character data up to 8,000 characters. Allows character data up to 8,000 characters. Okay, and it's recommended for pixel and character columns. Allows character data up to 8,000 characters, recommended for pixel and character columns. Allows character data up to 8,000. It's recommended for pixel and character columns. Okay, now. Now. Next, let's see. Here, actually, see this here. Just I'm taking example. Let's take example. Suppose here in SQL Server database, I want to store the name. In SQL Server database, I want to store the name. So what is name is? Name is character type. Let's say, suppose I declare something like this. Name what? Char of 20, char of 10. So I want to store name. Suppose I declare like this, name char of 10. Okay, na? Then so now I want to store what's a name. So you declare like this, name char of 10. So what is the meaning here? So what is this 10 is size? This 10 is size. Okay, na? So this is size. So, but this size can be maximum up to 8,000. The size can be maximum up to 8,000. But suppose you declare 10. If you declare 10, how many bytes are allocated for name? 10 bytes are allocated. SQL Server allocates how many bytes? 10 bytes. Okay, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 bytes. So it allocates 10 bytes. Okay, then suppose sorry. So it allocates 10 bytes. For example, I entered some name. What is the name I entered? Suppose I entered some name Sachin. I entered some name Sachin. So tell me, this Sachin actually allocated is 10 bytes, but this name contains so many characters? 6 characters. If the name contains 6 characters and this takes how many bytes? This takes how many bytes? This takes 6 bytes. Okay, na? Allocated is 10 bytes, but this name contains 6 characters, 6 bytes. Okay, then it takes 6 bytes. What about the remaining 4 bytes? The remaining 4 bytes are wasted. Okay, so allocated is 10 bytes. The name contains 6 characters, 6 bytes. The remaining 4 bytes are wasted. So for another name also, it allocates how many bytes? 5 bytes. Sorry, 10 bytes. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 bytes. Suppose I entered some name. For example, Ravi, something. I entered some name. What about the remaining? So this takes how many bytes? 4 bytes. What about the remaining 6 bytes? The remaining 6 bytes are what? Wasted. So what is the problem with cat data type? The problem with cat data type is what? Memory wastage. What the problem with cat data type is? The problem with cat data type is memory wastage. Extra bytes are wasted. Here there are 4 extra bytes wasted. Here 6 extra bytes wasted. Okay, that is the reason it's recommended for fixed length character columns. It's recommended for fixed length, not recommended for variable length. Tell me, name is fixed length or variable length? Tell me, name is fixed length or variable length? Name is fixed length or variable length? Variable length.
Variable, sir. Variable.
Why? Because here one name to another name, number of characters what varies. Okay, na? Name to name, number of characters varies. Name is variable length. So char is not recommended for variable length fields. Char is recommended for fixed length. Okay, na? Yeah. So like what char data type? In char data type, extra bytes are wasted. Extra bytes are wasted. So char is not recommended for. Okay, char is not recommended for variable length fields, and char is recommended for fixed length fields. Okay, na? Then example. Tell me what example. Example for fixed length. Example for fixed length. Huh? Example for fixed length. What is the example for fixed length is? Okay, then like example for fixed length character fields. Okay, not numeric fields. Like one example is gender. Gender is fixed length because gender MF. What are the allowed characters? MF. Okay, na? Then next. Suppose you take BTech branch, EC, EEE, CSC. Okay, then so like so maybe they use some codes like okay. One example is what? Suppose state code. For example, state code in every country like India, US, there will be states. Every state code contains 2 characters. Every state code contains 2 characters. Okay, every state code contains 2 characters. Okay, then so like suppose here I declared char of 2. How many bytes are allocated? 2 bytes. So I'll enter the state code. Okay, now suppose what? AP, suppose AS, AR. Okay, AS, like this. So allocated is 2 bytes. State code also contains 2 characters. Any memory wastage is there? No memory wastage. Okay, now so allocated is 2 bytes. State code also contains 2 characters. Any memory wastage? No memory wastage. So this is what fixed length. State code is fixed length. Next one, country code. Country code. So I declare char of 3. Country code char of 3. How many bytes allocated? 3 bytes. So every country code contains 3 characters, IND, USA, like that. Country codes contain 3 characters. Any memory wastage, no memory wastage. So these are the examples for pixel length. So char is recommended for this type of fields, state code, country code, like that. But char is not recommended for name. Okay, na? Then
Sir, mobile number also, sir.
mobile number is numeric now, not character. Next, so another one. So another one. So what is this? Is varchar. One more is there, varchar. What is varchar is? So varchar allows what? Varchar allows, okay, character data up to 8,000 characters. Allows character data up to 8,000 characters, and it's recommended for variable length fields. Okay, it's recommended for variable length fields. Example, name. Name, I declared what? Varchar of 10. So name, I declared varchar of 10. So how many bytes allocated for name? How many bytes are allocated? 10 bytes. So like SQL Server allocates 10 bytes. But suppose I entered some name, 10 bytes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 bytes. I entered some name. What is the name? I entered Sachin. So Sachin. So this name takes how many bytes? 6 bytes. What about the remaining 4 bytes? The remaining 4 bytes are not wasted. The remaining 4 bytes are released. Okay, then even for second name. So suppose here 10 bytes are allocated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 bytes are allocated. Suppose you entered some name like Ravi. So this takes 4 bytes. What about the remaining 6 bytes? The remaining 6 bytes are not wasted. The remaining 6 bytes are released. So that means in varchar 2, exabytes are wasted. Sorry. Exabytes are released. In char data type, exabytes are wasted, but in varchar, exabytes are released. So varchar is recommended for variable length fields. Okay, na? Then, so in varchar data type, exabytes are released. And bytes are released, they're allocated for these bytes are used for some other data, not wasted. And these bytes are used for some other data. Okay, that's all. I think you understood the difference between char and varchar. Okay, then state code, which one you recommend? Char. State name, which one you recommend? State name, varchar is recommended. Country code, what is recommended? Char. Country name, what is recommended? Varchar. Okay, that's okay. But here, so this also allows up to 8,000. Char and varchar size is maximum size is up to 8,000. But if suppose if it contains more than 8,000 characters, then what we have to use? We have to use varchar max. So if you want to use more than 8,000, you have to use varchar max. Okay. That. So what is this varchar max? Allows character data up to 2 GB. Allows character data up to 2 GB. Okay, na? That. Okay, then varchar max allows character data up to 2 GB. So if you want to store more than 8,000 characters, then we use what? Varchar max. Up to 8,000 you can use char varchar, depends on pixel length, variable length. If it is more than 8,000 means use varchar max. That's all. What is the difference between that and this one? So like size is different. Okay, what the difference is? The difference is size. Size is the difference. Okay. So you want to store some use amount of text, like suppose Wikipedia. You take Wikipedia. Wikipedia maximum it contains what text, but use amount of text like that you want to store in your project. You want to store use amount of text. So that case you can go for varchar max. Okay, then next another point is like all this char next one. So char varchar or varchar max. Char varchar max allows ASCII characters. Okay, now char varchar max allows ASCII characters. Okay, now so char varchar max allows ASCII characters. What is ASCII stands for? American National Standard. Okay, American Standard Code. Sorry, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Okay, that. So this allows ASCII characters. What is that includes? That includes what? ASCII character that includes. Okay, that includes. So small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, 0 to 9. Next one, special characters. So includes A to Z, small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, 0 to 9 special characters. So this is what like varchar max. Okay, no, sorry, char varchar max allows ASCII characters. So that means here, tell me, char and varchar allows alphabets or alphanumeric. So tell me, char and varchar allows alphabets or alphanumeric.
Alphanumeric, sir.
Alphanumeric.
Sir, alphanumeric.
Okay, na? Because it allows 0 to 9 also. That means it allows alphanumeric. Like example, I want to store, like in India, PAN number. I want to store PAN number. So I declare like this char of 10. So I want to store vehicle number. Then I declare like this char of 10. So I declare PAN number. Okay, I want to store vehicle number. Okay, so all this is what character types. Okay, anything that. So email ID, email ID also alphanumeric. So varchar of some 20, 30, etc. whatever. Okay, then password. I want to store password. That's all. This is what varchar max. Okay, sorry, not varchar max. This one. Okay, now. So next we'll see this. Like what we'll see Unicode. Okay, now. So this allows ASCII characters, but this allows what? Unicode characters. So these types allows ASCII characters, but these types allows Unicode characters. Okay, na? Unicode characters means characters of different languages. So ASCII only allows English alphabets, English alphabets, but Unicode allows what? So Unicode allows other languages like Japanese symbols, French, Arabic, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil. So characters of different languages are also allowed Unicode. Okay, na? So that is the difference between ASCII and Unicode. Okay. So shall we see this in the next class tomorrow?
Okay, sir.
If this phase is okay, or shall I go fast, or shall I go slow? What? This is okay.
Sir, this is okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
This is
Do we
Okay
have
then.
Boolean?
This is okay.
Do we have Boolean types in a SQL?
okay.
Boolean type is not there yet.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what
Hello,
about
sir.
the notes, sir?
Yes, yes. Once again, see, once again, notes, you can download the notes from this link. I'll send this link to the your chat box.
Hello, sir.
Once again. See, you can download the notes from this link.
Sir, class room lo పెడతాన్నారు sir, Google Classroom లో.
They will create చేయాలి అది. ఇప్పుడు నేను చేయలేను. Why? Because I need to like collect all your mail IDs, or I need to send the invitation to you. But Naresh will do that.
Okay, okay.
Okay, na?
Box lo
Hello, sir.
Till that is created, like, okay,
Okay.
use this one.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Most of the members are .NET full stack. We are listening C# and offline. They provide a spiral binding. Like that, you can provide any spiral binding. Sir.
That is there in the, like, I think it is there.
Yes, in Raghavendra Jaraj.
Maybe you ask them if it is there. Okay.
I asking is it available or not, sir?
That's what you need to check, boss.
Okay.
Huh?
Is it available? Is that okay for me, for students, sir?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay then.